Hey there, it's Jenny, and I am here today with a Traveler's Notebook scrapbook process layout. I am using this pattern paper from 49 and Market and also the rub-ons as well. Now this particular sheet of paper is really fun. It has a lot of green accents, and so that is wonderful because this page is all about plants. And so I'm trimming to 4 and 1/8 and 8 and 1/8 inches for both papers. And I wanted to get some of those fun little accents that are on the sides into the two sides of the layout. Now I'm using this photo. It was originally a 4x6 of my Monstera plant that's in my backyard. I trimmed it down a little bit and then I am matting it on white cardstock. It doesn't end up fitting on the page the way that I wanted it to. And obviously I could have done measuring beforehand, but I kind of was just trying to see, I needed to visualize basically before I trimmed it down a little bit further. So I pulled it off the mat and I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. Fun fact about that pattern paper, I purchased it for the opposite side. The opposite side was mostly white with some different colored pastel polka dots that I thought were really cute. And this layout was just too perfect to not use the other green side. So that's what we're doing today. Things always are changing. All right, so this mat didn't work out the way that I wanted either. And again, it happens. It happens to me all the time. And you know what? I don't care. It's all part of the creative process. I have a good time doing it, and I'm not bothered by the fact that I'm usually not 1000% focused on what I'm doing. All right, so now I'm just going to remat the paper and give it just a small little edge right there. That's all I'm looking for, is just a little added texture and a little to make it pop off the back of that page. So now I'll adhere it down. I want it to be sort of in the center. It's not imperative that it's perfectly centered. Now I'm going to use those rub-ons again today. They are amazing. I used them in my memory planner layout and I am shook. They are so good. Like, just perfect. And I love the rainbow palette. Today I'm going to be sticking only to the green and I guess it's blue, but it's really kind of a green blue too. And I'm going to mimic a layout I created earlier in the year that had leaves across the bottom and up one side of the page. So I'm doing basically the exact same thing, except for I'm using the rub-ons instead of stamps and die cuts. I'm going to be mixing the green with the blue, although leaning much, much more heavily on the green than the blue. The blue is just going to be kind of more of an accent, if you will. So I'm sort of envisioning just a bunch of growth along the bottom and then some growing up or climbing up the side of the right hand page. There'll be some leaves that have fallen off the branches that collect at the bottom, not a ton, just some. And that's the overall premise of the design with the layouts. So you can see, did I say layouts? I meant rub-ons. You can see I'm trimming out the different clusters of leaves that I want to use. If you haven't used rub-ons before, this is because if I just try to rub them directly from the sheet, you can sometimes they just, even if you don't apply pressure, they get stuck to whatever's behind them, and then you have to A, remove them, and B, then you can't use them again. So it's really honestly best to just cut them. Look how cute that looks. Oh my gosh. I love it. It just turns out so perfectly. Anyway, so it's really best to just cut the sections that you want to use and then rub them onto the page. Now, it's not perfect because obviously then you end up with these misshapen sheets left over and sometimes individual little pieces. And when I end up with a little individual piece, I personally just staple the back and the rub-on together, not on the design, of course, on the non-design portion. to keep those together. Because if you lose the back, you're not keeping the rub-on. It's going to rub on to whatever surface it touches. So, and some are worse than others, brands and those types of things, but that's just what happens. It's the nature of these types of things. So, all right, so you can see that I rubbed up the page, and then I took my scissors and just little pieces that were hanging off the edge, I just trimmed those off really quickly. And it just happens, I've never really had that happen before, but these particular ones they're coming right off the sheet, and so they're going to lay where they end up. Now, I didn't need this to go all the way to the very tip top, but I did want it to go up past my photo just so that it was a little bit more interesting in drawing your eye all the way up the page. Also, by the way, there's been a couple of noisy breathing by my dog. You'll have to forgive her. She's a noisy little pup. All right, so we're just going to continue the same technique across the bottom of the left-hand page. So the left-hand page is going to have the title and the journaling for this particular layout. And so we're just keeping it all cohesive so it sort of all just pulls together from one side to the other. Now you can see right there the rub-on, it's just floating in thin air there, so I cut the excess off. So you can see also too, that's where I used the darker blue over on the far left side that kind of creates like a stopping point, right? It really definitely is the darkness in comparison to the other one. It just provides like a definitive end with the design, and I really like that. I also am overlapping some of these designs, and that's not a problem at all. They layer beautifully, as you saw that they layer beautifully on top of photos as well. So that's another really fun thing about rub-ons is the layering opportunities, right? So you could use like a different layout. So say I put a alphabet rub-on over top of these. It'd be so cool. Like you can just create all kinds of different things, and there's no background, there's nothing like that. It's very neat. So like I said at the beginning, I'm trying to capture a bunch of stems, a bunch of growth, and then some leaves across the bottom as well that look like they have fallen off the branches and they are resting on the ground. I like the overall effect. It feels kind of natural, very nature inspired, and obviously I would do that anyway as I did it in my memory planner, but this is obviously a layout about plants, and so it really works out fantastically. Now I printed journaling on a scrap of clear sticker paper, so I'm just trimming that up right there. You can see that block. Now I know that I want it to go on the other left-hand side of the page, so I'm just going to place it kind of where I think that I would like to have it. Now I also used a metal die alphabet set. I'll link it up below. I love this one. Truthfully, I bought it for this exact purpose, that I would have it over time to use in different layouts to create different titles and things like that without having to buy stickers over and over again, which there's nothing wrong with buying stickers over and over again, but I just picked a really super basic font. I've done that twice now, and I've been crazy happy with it. So I just used black cardstock and cut those out. Like I said, I will link this particular one up below. And then I'm using just a clear glue to put these down right here. And this is the term. And if you are a biologist or a botanist, I don't really need you to weigh in below about this. It's really more about that my son learned about this in his college level plant class and was telling me about it, and it's a plant we have in the backyard. So it's really more about the story than it is about the title. Or better yet, my definition of the title in the journaling. So I'm just using the clear glue. just is so wonderful because you don't have to be precise because it's going to dry as it states clear and you're not going to see it. So I love that because I love that I can still really create just about anything. I might have also used the Xyron little X thing if I knew where it was. I mean, I have it and I know it's somewhere around here, but I'm not exactly sure. All right, so I'm just going to add this journaling and the date, and that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my very best to get back to you. Thanks so much, and make it a great day.